picking up on Christina's point about psychological warfare, and you talked about struggle, and you remind me constantly, of the warfare that's being waged upon our bodies, historically oppressed peoples, locally and globally, and you also talked about everyday commitment as well, an everyday commitment to the struggle. And what I find is, and I also find from a personal aspect, or from a family aspect, or from a community and a collective aspect, and an aspect in relation to all the students that I'm engaged with, is that this struggle takes a lot out of us. It's demoralized. We demoralize oftentimes. This system wages war on us in a whole-bodied sense. It's killing us psychologically, emotionally, physically.
I'm going to move around to get, I'm sorry, Stan, to disrupt.
Sure.
I just want to plug in my my computer because the battery is going down.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm walking around, so you'll just have to bear with me.
Okay.
I'll put my camera off for a minute, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Just
Can you hear me though?
Just for a minute. I'll be right. I'm listening, however, and looking.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Right. So I think about that trauma because we also, many of us, carry trauma. We carry trauma also in our bodies from our ancestors also. And that sense of pain and that hurt and those wounds, it brings us to a state of oftentimes helplessness and hopelessness. And I just wonder, and we talk about oftentimes mental health, but it is a whole-bodied unwellness and a whole-bodied wellness that we're talking about, really. So I wonder then, how do we, have you any thoughts in terms of how, because of course you have been a revolutionary all of your life, and I remember reading A Taste of Power, and you're speaking about that little story with Albert Einstein and the family member of Albert Einstein's family talking, and the family member talks about connectedness and how the ceiling is A, and one wall is B, and another wall is C, and the floor is D, and you, Albert, are E. And it seems to me part of the struggle is always to continue to regain that connectedness. And many of us, it's hard for us. It'll be hard for us when we leave this space now. It'll be hard for us when we go home. And that hopelessness and that helplessness, I'm always reminded of Panther thinking that it reduces to the point of pain where we cannot become revolutionaries then, right? We cannot transform our world. So I wonder then how to guide us. What can we do in our everyday world to push against that sense of breakdown, our whole body breakdown, to push against that sense of hopelessness and powerlessness, and to attempt to live a revolutionary spirit every day.
Well, in the Black Panther Party, the one thing that we loved, and we all did, is the collective effort that we had to make. We were always at work, and we were always everything, but we were together. And we all speak of the most glorious time of our lives when I didn't have anywhere to sleep. I slept on the floor a lot. And well, I mean, sometimes you had a sleeping bag, so it's not like I just slept on a bare floor totally. But anyway, the point is, we knew and believed at least that our fight was serious and was glorious. And so we weren't depressed at all. We were happy most of the time. I mean, you can't imagine, we laugh about the shit today. Some of us and we're old and we still laugh about, remember when we did this and, all those, veteran type stories, old people stories. But today, I'm so immersed in what I do every day in terms, so I got my boy in the joint and that's a lot going on with that. I've got this project with 79 housing units, and you can believe me, this damn near killed me because of the amount of, it's a $72 million project. And how did I get that? I'm gonna do a documentary, a short one, to make a model for other people. This is how you can get the land from the government for $1, but I mean, it was a fight. I mean, I've been knocked down by a city councilwoman. I've been taken to the grand jury. One guy, my former co-developer who wasn't about shit, took me to arbitration, I didn't pay, I won, but it cost me some money to win. I've had a lot of lot of rough moments trying to get through that. And that's not counting the racism, the just incredible, it just stuck in racist bureaucracy of the city of Oakland, of the county of Alameda, the state of California, in terms of housing and trying to, who gets to house. I'm probably the only Black person who has been the lead developer of any housing in the Bay Area. Now let's just think about that for a minute. That's a sad statement, isn't it? And there's plenty of reason for that. Now, the thing that I think, and what makes me get up in the morning and not feel sad or depressed, is that I'm going for a goal. I'm gonna build this goddamn house, and these people have done everything they could do. It killed me now. Don't think I didn't feel hurt and pain and isolation. But I want to tell you this. When you are focused on what you need to do, and you have action, and tomorrow we're gonna get up and we're gonna build a school. And tomorrow we're gonna, blah, 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 all of that. You will not feel isolated or lonely because you got some shit to do. You ain't really got time because you're working. You're working every day. Now, that doesn't mean you're gonna get up in the morning and polish your guns, As a friend of mine who's, pretty big, he's a former member of the party, said, these people are gonna make me break out my AK, what I'm saying? So we're always there, like in the back of our heads. We're still pretty rough characters, most of us who are in the Black Panther Party. But that doesn't mean you're gonna get the big thrill of some protest movement, or you're gonna be here and you're gonna feel bad because the big thrill is over. No, there ain't no big thrill. It's all a big thrill. I'm building to get, now I got 4 businesses to open that will be owned by formerly incarcerated people. I have no idea where I'm gonna get the money for that shit, but I have a few thoughts about how I can get it. So I'm gonna spend the next 2 years struggling to get, several $1 million to pour into these businesses so that I can create a model for how people can pull themselves out when they're coming out the joint, and they ain't got to hit nobody in the head and go back to prison. We have the recidivism and all the other stuff, because we're not tearing down the wall, all this Angela Davis stuff about, the end of prison. Well, all right, that's your little fantasy statement. You ain't gonna deliver that, and nobody is, because as long as the rest of the system is in place, the prisons are gonna be in place, okay? So it's a bullshit goal. I'm just gonna say that. It's a bullshit goal. But what can I do right now to build up an army of people that were in prison? Half these people in prison don't even know why they were in prison. I asked them, I said, why do you think so many Black people in prison? They're like, I don't know. Why don't you know? Are you the dumbest person on the planet? Do you not notice that there's only 5% Black people in the state of California and 40-some% Black in the prisons, the biggest prison system maybe Texas. I'm not sure about the numbers. Could be Texas or California. California certainly has one of the biggest. Here you are, 40-some% of the California prison system, and you represent 5% of overall general population of the state of California, the most populous state in the union. And you don't know why. You can't figure that shit out. So we got a lot of work to do. That's an army waiting to be formed. But what are we doing? We sitting around here arguing about some little shit like this, going out there and do some stuff with those people. And once you set your goals and every day you are working on them, as building something, creating something, that's what we did. Lastly, the party's central committee said, we all have to have a breakfast program. And then when we got orders, we just did it. It wasn't like, oh, well, let's vote on that shit. It wasn't no democracy in the Black Panther Party. It was just straight up hardcore orders. And ideas flow, as we say, flow up and down the chain of command, but orders come from the top down. So when we got that order, because after Bunchy and John were killed in early 1969, we still didn't have a breakfast program in Southern California, which was the first chapter. So we had to go get a breakfast. So then the central committee would not say, here's the money, here's how you should do it, this is what you should be doing. Your ass has to have a breakfast program, and we need you to have it in a month. You playing now, so you're not serious. See what I mean? It's like when I gave you an idea, let's bring some children up to the school. Now you need to give yourself a goal. Can we get some kids up to the school instead of sitting around here having a conversation? Just go on and do it. You'll be so engaged, you'll be happy every goddamn day. Now, they would say to us, you gotta have a breakfast program. Okay, breakfast program. So now, we're like, the only places we ever knew, the traditional thing had become going to a church and asking them for their space. Because we had a building somewhere? No. So we went to church after church. All the black churches were like this. Oh no, we don't want no Panthers up in here. You know, Jesus was white, you know, please. We don't want no Black Panthers in here. So we, and this sister named Joan Kelly, she recently died. And Joan and I were assigned to find the venue. Well, we were trying to find it, all of us were, but we were on a real assignment. We went to church, we sat through church services like this. And we finally, nobody wanted to give us, I mean, I can't even tell you, we have really funny stories about the adventures of going to various churches. And so one day, this one guy told us, a brother in the party said, well, I've got this, my pastor, my family's pastor says he will open us. So we go to the guy and he's like, oh, absolutely. We're like, wow, it's a black guy. He's a nice church, very beautiful. We're like, this is perfect. It's perfect. We don't worry, we'll clean everything up. We just have the children coming in, blah, blah, blah. We had all, you know, whatever. He said, well, now, you know, we're Seventh-day Adventists and we don't eat meat. You don't eat meat. And so he said, you can't have meat in the breakfast program. Now, for Black people in 1969, breakfast was meat. Not only was it meat, it was pork. So you can't have breakfast without pork. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking bacon, ham, sausages, ends, and patty. I'm talking about pork chops, but you can't have breakfast without pork because we didn't have cereal. We didn't feed our children cereal. We fed our children hot meals, just so you know. So it was going to be some grits, there's going to be some eggs, some pancakes, whatever, but it was always going to be some meat. Okay, so we were like, we can't turn this down because we got to have the breakfast program. And we don't know how we're going to serve these children. So Joan, and I remember this is 1969, stumbled upon something, you know, we had no internet, we had nothing. Remember, like put it in your head. And some kind of way she found these packaged things called veggie burgers. Nobody ever heard of this shit, but it was all like soybeans and beans. You know, it's really horrible, but it was no meat. But it looked like a big thing of sausage, right? So we sliced it up like with sausage patties and put a lot of onions and bullshit in there, hot sauce, and put it in the pan and fried it because we were not going to violate this man's request. This man was so kind. How could we be rude, you know? Yeah. And so in the beginning, and I was in that breakfast program, in the beginning, those kids would be like, what's this? We said, it's sausage, eat it. So they were like, this ain't no sausage. It is, eat it. Now, the one thing you learn about children, after an adult tells them something a couple of times, they start to believe it. They were like, he said, put some ketchup on it, you'll be all right. And with enough seasoning and enough other stuff, we passed those things off as sausages. Well, I don't think we didn't lie. We just said, it's meat, just eat it. We said it was meat, but we didn't say what. But anyway, the point I'm making is this. We were happy every fucking day. Because all I had to do is know I'm going to see these little children. They're going to eat this little bit of food. Now we got to go find the food. We're going to go jump on somebody to get the food. Let me assure you, we're going to say that we want Mr. Jones to give us a pound of bacon a day. Oh, I can't give all, really? Well, how do you feel about your store still standing in the middle of the community? Because that's what's getting ready. Somebody laughing too hard. Who is that up there laughing? Trisha. You laughing a little too hard, Trisha. We would go to Safeway stores. Let me tell you what we did at Safeway. We just tore them up. We shut down a Safeway. I mean, to get the food, we didn't pay money. People asked us, how do we do it? We didn't have any money, so we had to get it any way we could. You know, by hook or crook, a lot of it by crook. But after a while, we had students from the Black Student Alliance that would be our collectors. Once we set up in LA, we had a network. We knew you go over here to get eggs, you had this breakfast for you, take it here. So the thing was systemized by then, whatever the word is. And it was fabulous. The police would stop us every day, Stan, man, I call you Stan, I told you call me Elaine. But the police would stop us almost every day in LA. It's 1969, we buried somebody every month. Every month. 2 guys in San Diego, John and Bunch in the beginning of the year. All through the year, we had, and then the end of the year was assault on our office. And still we were happy. And we all know that because we all knew that we were doing something so much bigger than we were, that we couldn't talk about our personal lives and our personal pain in comparison to the pain of our people.
Yeah.
And if we were contributing to building something that would alleviate that and bring about freedom at some point, then we were happier. And can't tell you that the greatest happiness of my life was in the Black Panther Party. That was 10 years out of my life. But it was the greatest happiness, and it defines me today. Because but for the Black Panther Party, everything I know, everything I've done, I learned through the party. But more importantly, the only thing that will make me relevant after I die is that I was in the Black Panther Party. That's the truth.
Yes,